Hi, thanks so much for stopping by my kitchen. Today I'm going to be making one of my favorite things that I love so much. It is a slow herb infused tallow balm. It's pretty incredible. It's our go-to item for anything skin related. So it's also very easy to put together. It takes a little bit of time to let those herbs infuse into the tallow, but lots of hands-off time, pretty minimal hands-on time. I have my crock pot here, and this is what I use to get that low and slow consistent temperature for infusing those herbs. And then I've got my quart mason jar. So I'm just going to start adding everything that I need into my mason jar and get those herbs infusing into that tallow. I have 5 different herbs that I'm going to be using, and they are, first of all, chickweed. Chickweed is really nice for any type of itchy skin situation, so that's why we're including that. Next is calendula flowers. So these are all dried herbs. 1/4 cup of calendula flowers. Calendula is so calming and soothing for the skin. It is amazing. And I just love the way that the happy yellow flowers look. I think they're so cheerful and cute. The next one that I'm adding is comfrey. Comfrey is really great for skin because it has wonderful skin repairing properties. Next is plantain. Plantain is really great because it's extremely soothing for any type of inflamed situation. It's also great for helping skin to repair itself. And then last of all, I'm adding some dried lavender flowers. And one reason is just because lavender smells incredible. It's also very calming and soothing, and it also has wonderful properties for the skin too, for regenerating and soothing and just overcoming whatever challenge the skin faced. After that, we're going to add the oils. I'm going to start off with 1/4 cup of organic extra virgin olive oil. If you're using a very soft tallow, you can actually skip the liquid oil altogether. I'm using a pretty hard white leaf fat tallow, and so I do want to add a little bit of olive oil just to make sure that we get a nice usable balm consistency in our finished balm. So I'm going to add this right into the herbs. And then I really like how my tallow cake looks. And here's my secret revealed. I've been scraping from the bottom of it so that I can keep my nice, beautiful tallow cake on my counter and use it at the same time. Have my tallow cake and eat it. Not eat it. Well, sometimes we eat it if it's in cooking. Use it. Have it and use it. The tallow cake. So I'm just going to keep on with that. Seems to be working. I do have a bit more beef fat in the freezer that I need to render, but I'll get to that one of these days. In the meantime, we will use this one, and what I'm doing is I'm just going to scrape a bunch and put it into my 1 cup measuring cup here, and try to get a nice generous 1 cup of tallow. I might actually aim for a bit more than that, just depending on what I'm feeling as the time comes. And then we're going to add this cup into the jar. We're losing a few little pieces. So basically what's going to happen is we're going to put this jar into the crock pot. We're going to put a cloth under the jar just to make sure that the glass stays happy. Don't need any glass cracking. And then that gentle heat from the crock pot is going to let these wonderful herbs infuse their properties into the tallow and the little bit of olive oil that's in there. And it's going to make the most wonderful, beautiful, thing your skin ever saw. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and add some more. I hope I didn't scoop all the way through. I just really like how this looks sitting on my counter. So I'm trying to maintain that as long as I can. It's kind of silly, but it makes me happy to have this sitting there. And then you'll see, I'll show you once we get to that point, you'll see after it's infused in there, the tallow becomes this beautiful, gorgeous green color. And then, so once that infusion time is up, we're gonna strain the herbs out, compost them, and then we'll be left with this beautiful green herbal infused tallow balm. And you can keep it as like a solid balm. You can add a little bit of beeswax and put it in little tins so that it's like a stiffer salve type of a consistency. I've done that a number of times, and that's great to have like in your little on-the-go first aid kit or diaper bag or purse or something. But this time I wanted to do like an actual tallow balm and whip it. So that's what I'm going to do. Turn it into a tallow balm, strain out those herbs, let it solidify to room temperature, and then whip it to make it nice and fluffy. So that's the plan. And then as this heats up and melts, it's going to settle down nicely. It's just, it looks kind of full and tall right now because the cool hardened tallow is sitting on top of those herbs, but it'll sort itself out. There we go. Oh, we did break through just a little. We'll put it back. And then we just need a little cloth. I have this smaller size towel that I'm just going to kind of fold and put in the bottom of my crock pot. In goes the jar. No need for a lid or anything. In fact, we don't even need the crock pot lid. And then we're going to go ahead and add water. I'll show you a close-up shot here of what everything looks like in here so you can see. You want the water to come up the side of the jar so that it can keep the whole thing heated. Now, you will have to replace water as it evaporates. We're fairly dry here in Colorado, so I do expect it to evaporate to some degree. And then you just want it to be at a simmer. So that'll depend on your crock pot, whether that's low or high. Whatever is a nice gentle simmer, usually low is a good place to be at. You can let it sit. Now, I like to let this sit for at least 4 hours, but I'll oftentimes let it go longer. And the longer the better, in my opinion, because the more of those properties are able to come out of the herbs into the tallow. So I usually like to go for like 12 hours. So I'm gonna let this get simmering, and I'll show you kind of what it looks like throughout the rest of the process as we strain it and make it into this beautiful whipped herb-infused tallow balm. So as you can see, the tallow balm has infused really nicely with the properties of those herbs. You can tell that it's taken on this really nice deep green color. I've let it go for about 12 hours, and now it's time to strain those herbs out. So I'm going to line my mesh metal strainer with cheesecloth and then just carefully pour this through into another container. And then from here, I'm going to let this solidify. Once it has solidified to room temperature, I'm going to take my hand mixer and I'm going to go ahead and whip this until it's nice and light and fluffy. And then once it's nicely whipped, I'm going to carefully put it into my glass storage jars, and then from there it will be ready to use. And I'm serious, once you try this, you are never going back to store-bought balms and skin remedies again. There is nothing like this. It also makes the most incredible handmade gift that you could ever make for someone. So that's another thing that I love it for. So once this whipped herb infused tallow balm is done, I find that the shelf life is quite long. Since we're using dried herbs and there's no water involved or anything, it's literally just the fats and the properties of the herbs infused into the fats. It has a very long shelf life, like 6 months to a year. So if you did have some that you wanted to keep longer, then I recommend putting it in the refrigerator or freezer just to make sure that it stays really nice for a long-term use. And then if you are using it within like a few weeks up to maybe like a few months, then keeping it out at room temperature should be just fine. But we love this balm so much. It's our, like I said, our go-to remedy for anything skin related. So many different uses. It's like our first aid tallow balm, really is what it is. I'll have all the different dried herbs that I used linked in the description so that you can find them easily and make this. I also made a bunch of other stuff for you. It's down in the description box. I have free ebooks down there. I have a free from scratch cooking workshop that I think you'll really enjoy. If you did like this video, it would mean a lot to me if you could give it a like. And make sure to stay tuned for more from scratch and natural living tutorials. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!